You are now listening to the Growing and Becoming podcast.
Hi. Hello, friends of the podcast. How are you all doing? Trust that you have been well. How am I doing? Doing very well. Really excited for Christmas. I'm such a Christmas girly. If you follow me on Instagram, which you should be following me, by the way, at Mrs. Wells. I think there's an underscore. Well, Mrs. Wells will get you far enough. You'll find me. But yeah, I'm such a Christmas girly. I've been posting about how excited I am for Christmas. I've already put up my Christmas decor, doing a lot of DIY. You know, it's really nice. It's a really nice, lovely time of the year. Truly the most wonderful time of the year. And I hope that you have amazing Christmas plans. I hope you're not just going to spend Christmas on your own. Please don't spend Christmas on your own. If you genuinely do not have friends or family where you live, I don't want to be weird and say make some friends. To be honest, you can spend Christmas with a good old stranger. You can decide to volunteer. You can decide to be a part of a church, do something. Go for Christmas gatherings. Make friends on Christmas Day if you must. But please don't spend Christmas alone. Yeah, so I've just been gearing up for Christmas, thinking of what to add to my Christmas menu this year. Last year, I whipped up a feast for me and my husband. So one thing about me, now that I'm married, I don't want to repeat some of the cultures that I had growing up. At least not now, anyways. So growing up as a Nigerian, living in Nigeria, one of the things that a lot of families did was to host people or feed people. So we used to do either of the two, and it was always so stressful for me. I dreaded Christmas mornings. I love Christmas, but because of how stressful it was, it made me dread it at the same time. So I wasn't quite sure how I felt about the season in general. I remember my dad would just buy all this bunch of things and then we have to cook. Thinking about it makes me so stressed. So I told myself, Christmas will not be like that for me. I'd rather be hosted. I've paid my dues. So I'm married now. I can decide to host people or not. And guess what I've chosen? To not. So please don't ask me to invite you to my house. I will just laugh and make it awkward because I ain't gonna say yes. Darling, what you mean? I can host people any other day. Heck, I hosted people a few times. Not a few times. I hosted people a good number of times over the summer. I did barbecues and all that lovely stuff, picnics and all the shabazz. But you see, don't come to my house on Christmas Day. I will not open the door. At least for now anyway. Maybe I'll grow out of it and I'll get back into loving it. Because sometimes it's really good. It feels nice being able to share with people. I love it. So going back to what I said about, whipping up a feast for my husband. So we had lamb chops, we had jollof rice, we had gizzard, we had pepper snails, we had roast, like whole turkey, like roast turkey. Sorry, not turkey, chicken actually. Roast chicken, like a whole chicken. What did we have? We had a lot of things, to be honest. For just two people. It was dinner for two, it was a lunch for two. And it was a feast. But then don't worry, we actually gave some food to people. So it's not like we ate everything ourselves. That would have been crazy. And we also had them in the freezer for a while. We're just eating slowly. I'm not a wasteful person, trust me. But yeah, this year, I don't know that I'll be able to do that. So we might just keep it cash. Or if someone else is hosting people, trust me, I'm going to be there. I'm going there. Catch me outside, baby. But yeah, that's me. That's what I've been up to. Also been job hunting. Oh my Lord. In job hunting, I have a few interviews coming up. So if you're listening to this, please say a prayer for your girl. Anyways, let's get into the main gist for today. They lied about marriage. Oh my God. When I say that they lied about marriage, I'm talking about all the things that I thought marriage was. And, I come to realize that it's all a lie. Both the things that have been said to me directly and the things that I've observed, especially growing up. And now I'm here and I'm like, One thing that we can all agree, though, is that, people can be very extreme about their ideologies or principles sometimes. You might hear stories about marriages that seem to be perfect. Like, you might hear people say, oh, my marriage is perfect. They try to make marriage look like this perfect fairy tale. But is it really? And then there are also people who try to paint marriage as this very stressful, unnecessary thing that you really should not be a part of. Like, the way the world is going, marriage might become a thing of the past. It might become an old school thing to do. So yeah, some people have made marriage look like this horrible thing that you should not be a part of. And that's the side of the spectrum that I'm coming from, where marriage to me seemed like such an unnecessary and unprofitable venture. I remember saying to myself, like, if I was going to get married, I'm going to have to start thinking about it from like age 30, because I had all these preconceived ideas of how marriage was going to limit me, limit my ambition, my career, which is the first lie about marriage that, I was sold. And I believed it for the most part of my life. And that's the fact that, women lose themselves in marriage. Women are disproportionately affected by marriage. They are at a disadvantage in marriage compared to men. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not to say that every woman out there in every marriage is doing well. Of course, there are marriages where women are actually going through it. It is insane. But that's not marriage doing that to them. That's their spouse. That's their culture. That's their religion, whatever. That's what's affecting them. Marriage as an institution, I think it's important for me to even start by saying that marriage as an institution is not a man-made concept. God instituted this union called marriage, and there are precepts, there are principles that guide marriage. And if we do these things, we will see the results that God intended for us to see. But yeah, one of the lies that I believed for so long is that if I get married, my ambitions, my dreams, my goals, I have to put everything on hold and maybe even just perish the thoughts entirely just so that I can wear my hat of a wife and or mother. I remember growing up and seeing women who are educated, women who had jobs prior to being married, and then they get married and it just looks like their life has gone downhill. That is what it looked like to me from the outside. And it made marriage so undesirable. Oh my God. But then, fast forward to later on in my life, I started to see other marriages and I'm like, these women look like they've really leveled up. And it's different from what I used to see growing up, where it feels like, the women just lose themselves. They then lose themselves. They are nothing more than just a wife. Some become stay-at-home wives. They don't work. They don't do anything. It just wasn't appealing, especially for someone like me who's very ambitious and I have all these goals and aspirations. I literally wrote off marriage in my heart. I said, this cannot be for me. This cannot be my life. Another thing too that I learned recently is that there's the narrative that, someone becoming a stay-at-home wife is a problem. That in itself is a wrong perspective to have. There's no one size fits all for marriage, and it's important to know what works for your marriage. Don't look at someone's life and think, can't you see this woman is still working? Her husband allows her to work. How come I'm not working? That's for you and your partner to sort out. Like, the fact that someone is working in quotes doesn't mean that their marriage is all nice and rosy and beautiful and free of problems. No. Someone being a stay-at-home mom is doing a job. One thing that I learned recently, and I learned it in such a humbling way, is the fact that being a mother itself is a full-time job. Being a parent is a full-time job. It's interesting because I never really saw it as such. I just saw it as one of the ways that society just wants to keep women, stifled or keep women domesticated. Hello, you've come this far in the episode, and that means that you love it. So please hit the follow button and don't forget to rate the podcast. All right then, back to the episode. Raising children is such a big deal, and I think it is a great blessing to have a parent who is willing to, take on this really, really huge responsibility of being present 24/7 to raise and nurture children. I think the only thing would then be in the approach to empowering women to do such things. Another thing that we need to be really careful of is to not look at life through the lens of the trauma of our grandmothers or our mothers. This is a different era entirely. At least now, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you can still have an online business, you can do online stuff. In fact, you can make money from just showing us how you parent. Interestingly, you can make a lot of money from just showing us a day in your life as a stay-at-home mom. There's this girl I love watching. She's a stay-at-home wife and mom. She's 23, I think, or 22, 23. I really don't know. But it's interesting. She's making money. She's doing what she loves. She's happy. And she loves being a mom. I have a friend whose ambition, like her dream job in life, is to be a mom. And I found it so interesting because I grew up feeling like that was a disadvantage. I grew up feeling like a woman choosing to be a mom, a stay-at-home mom, was her being disadvantaged, but not really. Now, if she's being forced against her will, if she's being coerced, then that's a different conversation. And, that's between the husband and the wife. Marriage does not do that to women. It's possible that sometimes people make mistakes and they marry men who are control freaks, men who have no honor and love and respect for their wives, and then it just dictates what they should do with their life. It feels like they are no longer an individual. They are just these objects. It's really unfortunate that these things happen, but that does not depict the true picture of marriage. So please, if you are someone who feels like, when you get married, you're just going to be domesticated and now you have to do all these chores, especially when it comes to predefined gender norms or gender roles, women might feel like when they get married, then they have to become so domesticated. They have to spend all their time cooking and cleaning and doing laundry and blah, 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 and nursing the baby. Well, no, really. So please don't go into marriage with a fear that, you're just going to be cooking. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and I said to her, quite frankly, you might actually get married and realize how much you love cooking for your husband. I, for one, am proof of that. I never hated cooking. I guess I really didn't care much, to be honest, especially if there's somebody to cook for me. And how I grew up, we always had help in my house. So we always had maids and my mom likes to cook. My dad liked to cook as well. So to be honest, there was really not much cooking for me to do. I knew how to cook because my mom and my dad made sure that we all knew how to cook, at least help around the house and everything. So we were very much domesticated, but at the same time, there was just always food for me to eat. So it wasn't a thing that I had to do all the time. And so even when I traveled abroad, and unfortunately, I always had roommates that knew how to cook, except when I lived with non-Nigerians and I had to cook my food myself. But then I always had flatmates that knew how to cook. And so I just eat their food. Shout out to my friends. Shout out to my friends for always, nicing me up with their food. And then I got married and bro, I have been whipping up a storm in the kitchen. I can be up at 1 a.m. and I'm checking how to make bread. Are you kidding? How to make bread for real? I'm checking how to make soap from scratch. How can I do this? How can I do that? And it's not because my husband is, put a gun to my head and say, oh, if you don't cook for me, blah, blah, blah. What? It's just a desire that I realize has come upon me all of a sudden. I love to be a wife to my husband. Oh God, I relish the opportunity to cook for him, to take care of him, to pamper him. I look forward to it. If you have a negative mindset towards marriage, those things, that's exactly what you'll see in your marriage. But if you approach marriage from a positive point of view, like this marriage, I'm going to marry a man who's going to love me, respect me, honor me, pamper me, spoil me, so that when you don't feel like cooking, for instance, he's not going to be angry or upset with you. But marriage is about service. So even on days where you don't feel like, you realize I'm here to serve my partner, and so I will do X and X and X. But we sometimes forget to look at sacrifices that men make. Oh, this one. I watch my husband sometimes and I'm like, God, I thank you that I'm not a man. Because I feel like if I live a day in my husband's shoe, I might actually cry. The load that this man has to bear, the burdens he has to bear, the things he has to work hard towards just to provide for me, for the family we're trying to build. Nah, come on, child. Like, I can't do I might be able to if God helps me, but like right now, Jesus, I can actually faint. And vice versa. If he walks a day in my shoes, he will actually be so confused because what is going on? So please don't be scared to go into marriage thinking that, okay, when you go into marriage, like our great grandmothers, all you have to do is become a baby making machine. This is 2024, for goodness sake. Where are you getting these ideas from? Stop holding on to the negative experiences of people and start looking at the people who have had positive experiences. Look at their lives and ask yourself, what are they doing? You can learn from people's experiences to create the kind of marriage that you want, the kind of marriage that God desires for you. Look at the people whose marriages are not doing well. Ask questions. Find out what are they doing or what are they not doing. What exactly is the root cause of such a dysfunctional system where, what should be a beautiful partnership that will bring out the best in every person is making one party to look like they are at a disadvantage. If you have a supportive partner, they will uplift you, they will celebrate you, they will make sure that your ambition doesn't die. I remember when I was struggling to apply for roles and I'll tell my husband that I'm done. And he would encourage me. There was even a day my husband picked up my laptop, he wrote a personal statement for me, helped me to apply for a job and everything, like just because he knew that, man, I was done, I was tired. Or the times when I'm just so tired or like I'm feeling very confused about my next steps in life, my husband will sit with me and listen to me all the way, just allow me rant. So don't look at the marriages of old, and whoever says that the marriages of old were not working actually, but we just focus so much on negatives. So if you're thinking of getting married, or maybe you are married, think of how you can be more selfless towards your spouse. Think of how you can make their lives better. If you're a woman, think of how you can be more supportive, more helpful to your man. The Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Think of how your life can really reflect what it means for a person to have found favor, or for a person to have found a good thing. If you're a man, God expects that you love your wife so selflessly like Christ loves the church. How can you do better in that regard? But yeah, I really hope that I've been able to convince somebody out there that marriage is not designed to put women at a disadvantage. So maybe if you were scared to approach marriage, please let go of that fear. Let go of that fear. There's nothing to be scared of. If you do the right things, if you follow certain principles from the point where you are choosing a spouse to the point to actually being in the marriage, if you do certain things, you will get certain results. You can also learn from the people who have had bad marriages or the people who are struggling in their marriage. You can learn from them. Learn from their experiences so that you don't repeat the same mistakes. Learn from the people who are getting it right so that you can model after them. If you do what they're doing, you'll get the same results. Another very big lie about marriage that I convinced myself was true, or I was convinced by observing all the marriages around me, is that there's just a lot of drama with marriage. The fighting. I remember this couple, they were always fighting. Like, the woman will lock her husband outside. He won't enter the house. He will go and sleep outside. They were always fighting, screaming, throwing things, banging the doors. What is it? And it wasn't the only one. You hear stories of men who were cheating, women cheating, drama about children. Oh God, it was too much. I was saying to somebody recently that the fact that I'm married, I got married at 24, it's a very big miracle, because the kind of mindset I had about marriage growing up, I wasn't even going to be married at 30. I had made up my mind. I was going to start thinking about it for the sake of, I'm my parents' only daughter. I'm sure they would love to have grandchildren. That was the only reason I was going to do it. But God helped me. God helped me to reshape my thinking. And I am so, so, so glad, because, this thing called marriage, I absolutely love it. 1 year strong. and forever to go. I really, really recommend. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Obviously, in marriage, there will be conflicts. Once in a while, you argue, you disagree, da 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 da. But then a healthy marriage is not one where you're constantly fighting. There are people who genuinely believe that fighting, drama, all that keeps the spark in the marriage. There's this couple, and I think they're just dating, which is ironic. I think they're just dating. And their skits is about toxic behavior. So the girl can just come and be like, who are you calling? Who is this person's number that you saved? Who did you save her number? Why did you save her number with your heart? Da, 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 da. And then they start fighting. And then the boyfriend is trying to soothe her, trying to pamper her and giving her all these kisses and cuddles. And I'm just like, what is this rubbish, Amochi? What are you doing? How can you just wake up and you are looking for trouble? What is the problem? We're asking, okay, how come you didn't tell me? I said I love you. You told me love you. Where's the I? Are you normal? Why are you looking for a problem where it doesn't exist? And there are people who genuinely believe that this is a sign of a healthy relationship. So when you guys will fight, then you can now kiss and make up, you have makeup sex, whatever. Oh God, have mercy. And that was something that I was not a party to. What is that? Just felt very unnecessary to me. Like I have a lot to be worried about. You think I'm going to be here fighting and going through all this drama, then I'll be spreading my dirty linen outside. People will be looking at me and say, this man and his wife, they're always fighting or this, that. Friends, please, if that's not the kind of marriage you want, that's not the kind of marriage you'll get. But there are ways to make sure that that's not the kind of marriage you get. Avoid conflict avoid drama as much as you can. Forgive like a fool. Turn the other cheek as much as you can. That's something I say on this podcast often, even with our friendships. Forgive, let things go. You don't have to address everything. Don't be a nagging person. Don't be nagging all the time. Someone will drink water and drop the cup because they didn't take the cup to the sink for fighting. Fighting over what? I mean, there's no relationship that is perfect. Don't allow anybody lie to you. Even the good relationships that you see, they have disagreements from time to time. I remember when my husband and I were dating, we signed up for counseling. He paid for counseling for us because we knew we wanted to get married. And we just needed to see a counselor. I mean, just talk about our plans and get some advice and everything. And the first question that, they asked us was, how many times have you fought? When was the last time you fought? I can't remember how the first question was phrased. And I was struggling to respond because I didn't want to present my relationship as one that has not, in quote, withstood the test of time. We feel like, okay, maybe if you fight, then that's a show of the seriousness of your relationship. And my husband and I had only been dating for maybe like 3 months or so. And so when they asked the question, I was struggling. And then she could tell that I was just be like, well, we've not really fought. I mean, obviously, maybe there are some things that I was trying to paste my words together. She was like, don't worry, it's fine. Like, this is not a trick question. And then she said it's actually too early. Like, if we had said that, we fought, that they'd be worried. Because it's way too early to be fighting in a relationship. And I was like, thank you, God, because we've not fought. My husband is such a mature person. And like I said, I don't like drama either. I'm actually quite mature as well. We would handle our issues amicably. But then, it was just such a relief for me because prior to that conversation, I just felt like, fighting or having issues will really test the strength of your relationship. And so there are people who genuinely wake up with the intention to fight, to test the strength of their relationship. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Don't go looking for trouble where it doesn't even exist. You want to create strife where it doesn't exist. And quite frankly, the thing that you're looking for, you'll find it. So now I look back and I look at some of those marriages I saw growing up that looked like a constant battlefield, and I realized how unhealthy it was. And so if you have that experience that marriage is this thing where you constantly fight or there's constantly trouble, constantly drama, please perish the thoughts. There are people who are going a whole year and have not had a fight. My husband and I, the longest argument my husband and I had was like maybe an hour. And we were trying to settle the issue because we're not going to leave room for strife or anger or anything. And I remember when we were talking, I would say to my husband, like, I'm so shy because I came to this conversation or this, this heated conversation with the intention to win. And just watching how you are so calm and mature and how we are just talking, trying to settle this issue, making sure that this issue doesn't come between us. At the point I was blushing. I forgot why I was upset because I just look at my relationship and I'm like, this is so healthy. Thank you, Jesus, for such a marriage. Thank you for such a man. And then we just, hug each other. all of that cute stuff. We did all that and went to bed. Right? So it doesn't have to be that deep. My husband and I can be upset with each other for like 5 minutes. Be upset. Nobody's saying don't be upset. You're not a robot. You have feelings. And as long as you live with somebody, from time to time, they might upset you. Please choose peace. Choose peace. All that rubbish about, you fight and then you not have makeup sex is nonsense. Netflix is deceiving people because there's a kind of argument or fight that you'll get into with your spouse. It would affect your relationship forever. So just avoid it as much as you can. Obviously, when there's conflict, develop the skills to resolve conflict. And this is why I'm scared of people who don't read. Because how do you want to know how to do these things? You don't read, you don't, at least now we have audio-visual materials. You don't watch videos, you don't listen to podcasts, you don't do anything. You just expect that your marriage will be nice and cute. I'm so confused. How does that want to happen? So yeah, definitely, marriage is not a picture-perfect fairy tale love story between two people. There'll definitely be times where things are a bit rough and shaky. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. They did such a beautiful job of using the weather, different seasons that we have to describe, the different seasons that a human being goes through. And so just the same way you as a person, you can go through your seasons where you are sowing seed, you're starting things afresh, you're going through the awkwardness of new beginnings, you are going through difficult times, difficult challenges, times where you feel lonely, you feel stressed, even the times where you feel very joyful, the times where you get your big break and everything is going well for you. These are all seasons. The same way you go through those things, it will also affect your relationship. The relationship will also go through those seasons. And so it's really important that you learn the skills to manage yourself and your relationship at every season. And these are not things that you are born with. You have to learn them. Please learn. Learn how to resolve conflict. And, have difficult conversations so that you can reach a solution whenever there's an issue. Come to our, let there be peace. Some of you like drama too much. And I won't blame you. I feel like as human beings, there's something about us that kind of drawn towards negativity. We like bad news. That's why like gossip blogs are like really big, because drama sells. It makes a lot of money for people. People like drama. People would rather sit through a 1 hour video about their struggles in marriage than they will about their successes in marriage. Just look at the statistics. People are more likely to go to a gossip blog that's talking about people's marriages that are just terrible than for them to follow relationship content creators who are putting positive information about relationships. They call those people cringe. But then when it's about the ugly things going on in marriage, they say, it's real life. It's real life. What is real life? What are you saying? Please don't be one of them. I'm begging you. Obviously, such things might exist, and let's all be real. Some of those things are also exaggerated. They might not actually have happened. And even if they happen, maybe 1 in like 100 cases, for goodness sake, what are the chances that, in your room filled with married people, 60% of them are sleeping with each other's best friends? Don't believe that. One thing I'll say is also to be careful of this rhetoric that marriage is, perfect. So someone else's marriage is perfect. And you might be looking at your marriage, especially if you don't have certain things that someone else does, and you're comparing. Don't make a mistake. Social media it's not real life per se. It's just people taking videos or pictures of a specific moment in their lives. And you don't know if that moment is, exaggerated. Some people actually are living their best lives. Don't even play. People are enjoying themselves in their marriage. They are having a wonderful time. A successful marriage or a beautiful or happy marriage is not one that is void of trouble. These people have just learned how to manage those troubles. So yeah, just be careful of that. Don't be deceived. Don't think that because someone has taken a picture of themselves in this very fancy place and you think, oh, their marriage is so nice and beautiful. Someone comes online to talk about how wonderful their husband is. You think their husband doesn't have quirks or he doesn't have like things that annoy them. There are probably things that their husband does that annoys them, but they're not going to come online and tell you those things. So don't look at those videos and you then compare your husband and say, oh, how come, see how this woman talks about her husband, or look at my own husband, look at how he's doing it. Hello, be careful. Be careful. Just be very careful of the narrative that you let in. I would say that ultimately marriage is fantastic. 100% would recommend it for everybody, even my enemies. Obviously, take time to learn about marriage, learn about how to have a successful marriage. It doesn't just come upon you. It takes work, for goodness sake. Like every good thing in life that you've ever achieved, you have to work for it now, Abby. So work for your marriage. One last lie that I believe is the fact that affection dies over time. So maybe when you first get married, within the first few months or maybe a year, that's kind of like the honeymoon phase. And then once you're past that, the romance dies. Some people believe that once the children come, the romance dies. And I haven't been married longer than a year. I've been married exactly 1 year. But the way this marriage is going, ain't no romance going to die. What do you mean? What do you mean? I remember one time my husband and I were at a friend's house. I was standing beside my husband in the kitchen and we were holding hands. And this lady was like, you people are still in your honeymoon phase. Don't worry. Enjoy it while it lasts. And I was like, what? First of all, you are very bold. Do I know you? How dare you say such a thing? What do you mean enjoy it while it lasts? As in, my husband will not hold my hand in public anymore. What do you mean? I didn't get it. And in her own opinion, like, it's all butterflies. We're just in our honeymoon phase. And it will fade by the time real life comes. And I'm like, the life I'm living right now, is it fake? I'm so confused. Is it fake life? Don't let anybody deceive you. Time does not take away the love and romance in your marriage. The only thing that will take that away is if both parties let it happen. We have the responsibility to keep the sparks flying. We have the responsibility to keep the love burning. When people see me and my husband outside sometimes, like, they usually tease us, like, are you the only ones that are married? Because we're always hugging each other, holding hands, standing next to each other, checking in on each other when we're outside. We're not expecting that the romance in our relationship will just be on autopilot. We have to do certain things to make sure that it's there. And we've observed it from other people's marriages. We've seen other people and we like certain things and we're like, oh, we should adapt this. We've read books and we've read all the principles to keep romance and love going in a relationship, and we apply it. It's not something that we just wake up and we're like, oh, the romance is just doing its own thing and we're doing our own. No. We are the ones who put in the work to make sure that the sparks are flying. Sometimes these things are not even difficult, but it's just in the consistency. That's where people struggle. And truthfully, like this lady who says, when real life hits, there are seasons, like I said earlier, there are seasons in your marriage where things will be difficult a bit, maybe in terms of admin or finance, or just maybe either party is going through something and it just affects the marriage. Then put systems in place to make sure that even in those times, you are able to, show up, put structures in place to make sure that you are not leaving any room for lapses. At times when maybe your partner is not able to pour in as much as they would, maybe because they're ill or whatever, but they're just going through something emotionally, then you should be able to come up hither and bear their burdens. You should be able to lift them up. You should be able to fill in their gaps. And also take advantage of the times in your marriage where it's all high and high, everything is great, things are going well, there's money, life is good. Go on holiday. I know like things are difficult for people right now, but like if you and your husband have not gone on one holiday and you can afford it, this is for people who can afford it, obviously. Like I said, do what works for your marriage. But if you've not gone on a holiday, please book that trip. Please, emphasis on husband. If you're doing all these things with your boyfriend, I don't know what to tell you, friend, because, I don't know what to tell you. But, book a trip with your husband. My husband and I couldn't really afford this year to go to any major country. So we just went to a neighboring country and we did a road trip. Oh my God, that was such a long road trip. But we did it because we needed to go on holiday. We needed to go and spend time away from our home and just do something relaxing. And it was amazing. I had such a great time. So you can do little things like that. If you cannot afford something very big, do a weekend staycation. Go to a hotel with your spouse. Just plan towards it. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. I'm not telling you to wake up tomorrow and do these things. No, you can plan towards it. Save every, I don't know what currency that you're using, whatever amount you want to save every month, just towards a getaway with your partner, or maybe like a staycation, or what they call it. Yeah, the one where you do like just one day, go to a spa. Sometimes you have to push yourself. You have to really step out of your comfort zone. Maybe you're tired that day and you find that your husband or your wife is in the mood for something, shake your body small, like pray for strength and do it. But yeah, please don't believe the lie that the sparks in your marriage will die after a while. It's a lie. It's a lie. Obviously, this doesn't mean that it hasn't happened in some people's life. It has. But then focus your attention on the kind of marriage you want. You want a marriage where the affection continues, then look for people whose marriage looks just like that and model after them. If you're not married, prepare now, prepare yourself, read books, learn, listen to this podcast. I'll do my best to be putting out some more marriage content. So please be careful the narrative that you let into your mind. And I just hope that this episode helps somebody to have a more positive outlook towards marriage. Desire it. Oh Lord. Honestly, marriage is one of the best things that happened to me this year. I'm glad to have the kind of man that I married. I'm so grateful to God for helping me to let go of this negative mindset and these biases and embrace a more positive approach towards marriage because, it's helping me. It's helping me. I can't lie. Being married has brought out certain things in me that I didn't even know I had. Got married to my husband and he motivated me to start my podcast. Like, he motivated me. He would ask me questions. Okay, when are you doing this? When are you doing that? And if I needed to record, he would excuse me. He's always so supportive. Buy me equipment, everything. When, even writing my book, I've been writing this book for like 2 years. I got married and this man is like, okay, so what are you doing? Okay, so I do this, so I do that. You want me to help you with this? You want me to help you with that? What do you need? And, I published a book. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm a published author. Please buy my book. It's called That's on Period. And it's a storybook for preteen, girls and boys to educate them about the concept of menstruation. I'm confident that at least 95% of didn't really read any books, or rather storybooks about periods. So it's a very beautiful book. It's available on Amazon for a very, very small price, which, please grab it at this price now. Don't wait till the price goes up. Don't wait till the price goes up. But yeah, if you're a published author, shout out to my man for always helping me, always encouraging me. Oh, such a fantastic man. Baby, I know you're going to listen to this episode because you always listen to all my episodes. My husband has his notifications turned on for this podcast. And so he's one of the first to listen. Shout out to you, my husband. I love you so much. My prayer is that more people will experience the beauty that is marriage. I pray that you find a spouse that will love you and honor you and bring out the best in you so that you don't feel disadvantaged at any point. And I pray that you embrace the wisdom to make your marriage work. Please, again, read books, learn, listen to podcasts, watch videos, follow relationship experts. I did an episode on, relationship content creators and how we shouldn't hate on them. Stop calling them cringe. Stop calling relationship advice or content cringe. Listen and actually take the good advice. Don't spend all your time watching or reading gossip blogs about relationships that are awful. Keep filling your mind with the wrong things. Please don't do that. But yeah, more grace to all of you Actually had a lot more to talk about in terms of the lies, but we'll just stop here for now. Yeah, don't believe the lies, guys. Marriage is fantastic. And yeah, I hope that this episode has blessed you. Please share the episode. Let us counterattack all the negative PR that marriage is getting. Let's fight back with positive information. So share this message, share this episode, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.